Welcome back to my channel. So today we're going to be talking about my medical school journey, how I went from high school, college, all the way until medical school and graduating. So to start off this story, we have to begin in high school. And to be honest, the first 2 years of high school, I wasn't some stellar student. I was not even average. I kind of was below average when it comes to someone going into medical school. I definitely was getting A's and B's in my classes, but I was not in any advanced classes. I wasn't in honors classes, I wasn't in AP classes, and I just wasn't really applying myself to those classes. It wasn't until junior year when I started to think of college and trying to get college credit in high school. So that's when I started taking my advanced placement classes, and I really upped my game, and I seemed to be really good at math and science. I kind of was like one of my brothers who I wasn't very good at English and writing and reading, but I was good at math and science. So I stuck to those advanced placement classes, got into AP calculus and things like that, and I knew I was more of a science type of person. So now at this point in the between junior and senior year, you're starting to think about your major. And I knew I wanted to go science, and I knew I wanted to pick a career or pick a degree that could end up becoming a career. But the one downfall to me picking a science major was I was extremely squeamish around blood. I know, especially looking back now, I can't believe that I've gotten over that, but I was extremely squeamish around blood. And I did not want to pick a science major that you had to do a wet anatomy lab. I was so afraid of working with cadavers or seeing blood. I was just so against picking biology as a major, biochemistry as a major, because they had to take more anatomy classes. So I decided to pick nutrition and dietetics for my major. I felt like that was a good sciencey degree, and I can also become a registered dietitian, and it was going to give me a career in a science field that I would ultimately enjoy. So now at this point, I graduated from high school and I was going to a state university for a nutrition degree. I was all set, I was going to become an RD, I was really happy with my life. Until I went to college and I really liked all my classes and I was doing really well in all my classes, and we can actually go through and we can look at some of my transcripts. So I'm gonna put a little bit on the screen and we can go ahead and talk about some of these important classes and grades. So first year or two, I really didn't know I wanted to become a doctor at this point. But you can see I took some chemistry classes. I got a B in it, nothing special. Semester 2 of college, I had to take biology, got an A in it. Over the summer, I decided to take an online anatomy course because I did not want to go to class and learn anatomy. I was too afraid of passing out and fainting. So I opted for an online anatomy course. And of course I got a B in it because I didn't study certain sections that made me feel squeamish. Can't believe that was me back then. And then I remember taking organic chemistry, and my brother at the time was going to school for chemical engineering. He told me, organic chemistry is the weed out class for all these science degrees. So you have to try really, really hard in organic chemistry. And I actually loved it. I loved it so much. I got an A in it, but I understood it. I went to extra help sessions just to make sure I understood things, and everything seemed to go my way. And after I received that A in organic chemistry, I wanted to step my game up in these hard sciences. To me, becoming a doctor was becoming the most sciencey person that you can become, if that even makes sense. So at this point, I wanted to go speak with one of my counselors and see if I can get on track to become a doctor. So what they told me is that I have to add more prerequisite classes in order to fulfill the requirements to apply to medical school. Lucky for me, I was already ahead in my classes for my nutrition degree. I was able to add in all these extra classes for pre-med without pushing myself behind. So originally I was going to end a whole semester early, and now I was going to end when everyone else does after a 4-year degree at the university. So some of the prerequisites that I had to add on because I wanted to go to medical school were college physics 1 and 2, like another biology course to fit prerequisites. The transition with my grades, it went to like A's and B's to mostly A's. I really stepped up my game, and I knew my GPA has to be pretty close to a 4.0 in order to get into medical school. But another thing that I added into my college education was finding research. I wanted to find a professor that had a lab, and I had heard that there was a genetics lab on my campus, and I wanted to get involved. So I went into the class the first day. The professor comes up, he says, if anyone wants to help me in my lab, please come see me after class. So I run up there after class. I'm a senior in college. I have no research, and I just need it on my application at this point. So when I was in line to go see him, I explained who I am. Hi, my name is Jessica. I'm a senior in college. I want to go into medical school. Can I please help in your lab? And he literally looked at me and he said, "You're useless." I could not believe that the first thing that came out of his mouth was that I was useless to him. And he said that because I was a senior, half the year I'll be learning the lab, and then the end of that year I'll have to be retraining someone to take my position. So this probably would stop most people because that was a pretty blunt thing to say to me as a senior in college, but I went home and I emailed him my entire transcript, all my grades, and why, again, I wanted to work in his lab. And he called me into his office and he was like, "Who are you again? What do you want to do? These are your grades?" It's like he couldn't believe that I was trying to achieve becoming a doctor, or maybe he didn't believe that I had good grades, but ultimately I got the spot in the lab and I worked in the genetics lab and I got that research on my application for medical school. So I will say applying to medical school was really rough. I applied pretty broadly, I believe. It's hard to remember at this point, but it costs a lot of money. There's a lot of essays, and then there's a lot of secondary essays that you have to do. So for me, when I applied, I got a bunch of secondaries back, and to be honest, I did not fill out my secondaries really fast, and I should have because it was a rolling application. But after I did fill out my secondaries, I started getting a lot of denies. So I would get denied from all the Chicago schools, and I'm from Chicago, and that was really disheartening. And then I would get denied from other schools I applied to out of state, and that was really disheartening. I was stuck as a senior, not knowing exactly what I was going to do after senior year, and I was worried. I knew I could become a registered dietitian, but ultimately it wasn't exactly what I wanted to do with my life. So at this point is when I started my first YouTube channel. I started Jessica Cat 94 or Jessica Cat Fitness. I can't even remember what the handle was called. And I started a fitness YouTube channel, and I started an online business for nutrition coaching. I coached a lot of women all over the world, some even in Australia, a lot in the United States, and I coached them, and I did macronutrient coaching, and I basically started my mini business, and I was really happy with that. I didn't think this was what I was gonna do for the rest of my life, but at least I had something that I had created, so I didn't feel too hopeless after graduation. So I'm about to graduate college at this point, and one of my clients was doing a video chat with me, and I always start off by doing a video chat with some of my clients, and she said to me, she goes, "Oh, I'm so sorry, the connection is bad. I'm in Grenada." And I said to her, "Where's Grenada?" So long story short, she ended up being a vet student at St. George's University, and she really introduced me to an international medical school. I had never learned about international medical schools. I was afraid of them. They didn't do much advertising years ago when I was looking at medical schools in Chicago at least, and I don't know, I was afraid. So she really opened my eyes, introduced me to St. George's University, and I ended up finding the school, applying, and then going there. And I went there immediately after senior year. I had my summer off. I did a bodybuilding competition, and if you're an old subscriber of mine, you followed me through that journey. That channel has been deleted now, unfortunately, but I've started this new channel to show my next journey through residency. So I eventually went to medical school at St. George's University. I completed all 4 years. I am in my last week of medical school, and now I have matched into a surgical residency, and I'm so excited to show you guys the rest of my journey from here. So make sure you subscribe and stay tuned because I can't wait to film more videos. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again next time.